Hey guys, Megascatterbomb here. I'm a TF2 YouTuber that's been fighting the bots and cheaters for a couple of years now. In that time, I've learned a lot about how they function and some potential mitigations. But even with my background in software engineering, there's only so much that can be done without the involvement of Valve. I thought I'd share my knowledge and experience here to put on the record what atrocities have occurred due to Valve's negligence. Hopefully you guys will be able to hold them to account for what's happened. But even if we don't get the desired response, what I have to say here will put a permanent stain on their reputation. First, some technical background. One of the biggest problems with bots compared to cheaters is that they never switch off. A typical bot hoster will either purchase some hardware to run at home, or use online free trials of hosting services like OVH, Google Cloud, etc. From what I've seen, the most dedicated bot hosters stick to using their own hardware. They can pack their servers with a lot more RAM than what's available for cheap on the internet. And more RAM equals more bots. Since self-hosting is the most prominent method, that means the running costs a little more than the cost of electricity. Most bots are free to play as well, so any accounts that are VAC banned can be replaced at no extra cost. The only thing that can force a bot hoster to spend more money is if they want to host more bots than their hardware can handle. If you've ever seen a bot miss an easy shot, chances are that bot is fighting for CPU resources with 100 other bots to the point where they all start lagging. The reason I'm going over this information is to demonstrate that this problem isn't going away on its own. Waiting for them to run out of money or get bored is not an option. They can sustain their bots indefinitely. In short, this will continue to be an issue until there's some real intervention. Now that we know about the hardware, let's talk about the software, notably how accessible it is. All over GitHub you can find cheats and bot hosting software for Team Fortress 2. And before people mention Cathook disappearing from GitHub, Cathook wasn't taken down by force. The creator removed the repository and deleted their account voluntarily. You could argue that Valve leaving all these repos up is some sort of big brain strategy. Let the code for the cheats appear in the public domain, then study it and find a way to detect it. According to some of my insiders within the hosting community, it would be stupidly easy to detect the code signatures left behind by the most popular bot software, especially with the code and executables being public. But I think we know that's not what's happening. If they were studying the code, one guy at Valve would have figured out how to detect them within a week. Even then, I'm sure the developers wouldn't be so comfortable publishing the source code for their cheats if they were getting banned soon afterwards. The accessibility of the software is the result of Valve's negligence. This negligence is what motivated me to take matters into my own hands. In 2022, my friends and I started documenting the cheaters we found in TF2. This ultimately turned into the cheater database, which was leaked to the public in 2023. That's when the cheaters and bot hosters took notice of me. I had become a threat to them. The point of no return was when I released a video titled, "I'm Ending the Bot Crisis, Part 1 of 3, detailing my plans to build a community-run anti-cheat for casual mode. The harassment that followed is unlike anything I've ever seen." The first attempt at slander was using the good old inspect element. Some cheater stitched together a bunch of images designed to depict me as a pedophile, saying things like, "It's legal where I live," and "One more picture and I'll stop." Thankfully, the cheaters aren't intelligent enough to present their slander in a way that could actually cause harm. Their usual strategy was to just barge into my Discord with a 30-minute-old account and post the slander in general. Very easy to deal with, as a Discord moderator. Then there were the bots. Entire servers were filled with Megascatterbomb clones. Unfortunately, that meant I got kicked in the process, being mistaken for a bot. Even today, months after any bots were named after me, some people still think I'm a bot. There was a rough patch where the bots posted my Discord link in chat, causing several players to join the Discord, ready to hurl abuse at a supposed bot hoster. I managed to convince some of them otherwise, but there were a few people just too insane to deal with. Then there were the AI voice models. Someone decided to train an AI on my YouTube videos, allowing them to make any audio they recorded of themselves sound like I had said it. If you recall me saying some of the most vile and hateful things imaginable over the microphone, that was a bot, not me. Appropriating my voice in this manner is a crime, by the way, under New Zealand law. Harmful Digital Communications Act 2015, Section 22. The police informed me this was the case. Yes, the police got involved. We'll get to that. The next step, though, was the stream sniping. I started live streaming at the end of last year, as it was the most effective method of getting players into my TF2 server. Several bot hosters decided it would be funny to send their bots into my server all at once. It's very easy to counter the bots with the right source mod plugins, which further demonstrates Valve's negligence. Once I had all those plugins in place, the only thing they could do is DDoS the server, which isn't even that effective. They can lag my server, but they can't force anyone to disconnect. They've also tried repeatedly to take down my website via DDoS, but outside of the largest of botnets, they've failed to make an impact. The worst thing they've done by far was when they swatted me. Sometime last year, I had 2 police officers knock on my door at 11 PM, looking for me. Thankfully, I live in New Zealand, so they didn't do a full-on Osama bin Laden type raid with SWAT teams and tear gas. They suspected me of making a bomb threat towards my university. Earlier that day, someone had made that bomb threat under my real name and posted said threat in some of the student-run Discord servers. This was quickly escalated to police, and the university was partially evacuated. I explained the situation with the bot hosters and cheaters, and eventually the investigation into the bomb threat broadened to cover all the other things I've had to deal with. I can't go into further details for obvious reasons, but the investigation is ongoing. I'm usually capable of managing the stress associated with all of this, but I've had my fair share of low points. It's tough, knowing that there's a group of people out there dedicated to making my life as miserable as possible. And while I'm definitely one of the most prominent targets, there are many others who have been bullied in similar ways. Maybe not bomb threats, but the doxing and harassment are plentiful. The part that makes this level of harassment uniquely damning for Valve is that the bots themselves tend to be the primary attack vector for this illegal activity. I've seen many examples of bots being named after the real identity of innocent TF2 players, or using their faces as profile pictures. Valve should really think hard about their inaction towards the bots, as their hosts are constantly leveraging that negligence to commit actual crimes on their platform. If they fail to mitigate this, they might be opening themselves up for a lawsuit. For legal reasons, this is purely hypothetical, but it is a possibility. And with each passing month, more evidence presents itself that could be used in such a case. Maybe such a legal threat would motivate Valve to fix the bots. Then again, maybe not. The other thing I could see working is threatening to crash the TF2 economy. Despite the revenue stream being relatively small, I do think Valve cares about maintaining the economy. The reason they care is that TF2's economy was the first example of what is now a common trend in the gaming industry. So an economy crash would affect other games as well. For example, if TF2's economy crashed, what would that mean for the Counter-Strike 2 economy? They would see that TF2 suffered from the bot crisis, causing players to stop participating in the economy, thus crashing the market. CS2 is already at the bot and cheater crisis stage. If TF2 collapses, then CS2's future will become incredibly uncertain as well. Despite the tiny amount it brings in, TF2's ability to affect other, much larger economies means that the threat of economic collapse is thousands of times stronger than it appears on the surface. As a community, we can take advantage of that threat and leverage it against Valve to force them to take action. This is a very risky approach, though. I'll leave it up to everyone to vote with their wallets as to whether we should take this approach or not. Outside of a major financial or legal threat, I can't imagine Valve taking action. If we want to solve the bot crisis, we're on our own. That's why I'm building the anti-cheat. We've got a lot of very talented people who are volunteering what time they can to get this done. When it's ready, I want to see as many people as possible run the program. Until then, I'd encourage everyone to figure out what the peak times are for casual in their region, and stick to playing casual in those peak times. If everyone's playing at the same time, it'll be easier to drown out the bots, and easier for other humans to find a bot-free lobby. If the stars align, we can keep the momentum going, and keep the bots at bay. The anti-cheat will help with this a lot, but we've still got a long way to go with that. The reason I think they'll have an effect is that the bot crisis is a bit of a self-fulfilling prophecy. The more people believe casual is unplayable, the more it is unplayable. The amount of bots is relatively fixed, meaning that as the human player count fluctuates, the playability of casual is also affected. Once the human player count drops below a certain threshold, the bots take over, and the humans still playing will abandon ship, dropping the player count even further, and we get caught in a positive feedback loop. So here's my suggestion for the big YouTubers outside of the community. Pick a date and time, and get as much of your fan base to play the game as possible. Doesn't matter if they're brand new to the game and on a free-to-play account, tell them to give it a go and queue for casual. I want to see what happens when we flood the servers with as many real players as possible. The bot hosters are hardware limited, but we are not. And if it doesn't work? Well, then we've exposed way more people to what's happening in the game, firsthand, and they can join our cause. Rinse and repeat until Valve takes action. Also, boycott Deadlock when it comes out. There's nothing to suggest this game won't suffer the same fate. So why purchase it?